Domestic violence, a term which we have all heard about or hear way too frequently than we should have. This is a term which brings back worst nightmares for some, and for the lucky ones who haven't experienced it firsthand, and we really hope nobody has to go through it, it is just some another news on social media. So what is domestic violence? What does it look like? Why does it occur? And what can we really do to fight against it? Well, domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behavior in any kind of relationship to gain control over the other, be it physically or mentally.
As grave as physical and sexual abuses, domestic violence is even more extensive. Emotional abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, threats, stalking, they all serve as an abuser's means of fury. What do you do when? Stay home, stay safe. The official slogan of the year 2020 brings more terror to you than the COVID-19 pandemic itself. Or worse, what if you are the reason of this terror?
What causes domestic violence? Now, the first thing to note here is that no causes or reasons can ever be the justification for abusive behavior, and this is in no way intended to rationalize or justify abusive behavior or sympathize with the abusers.
A very few factors that are common in most abusive people are: sometimes people feel the need to be in control and thus resorting to violence. Impulsive instincts stemming from low self-esteem, extreme jealousy and anger issues, and other strong emotions can lead to domestic violence.
Traditional beliefs rooted in patriarchy and misogyny lead to violence against women.
Personality disorder, undiagnosed personality disorder, psychological disorder, extreme anger issues can lead to domestic violence. In this case, the abuser must seek treatment under a recognized mental health professional.
What one grows up watching. Exposure to abusive relationships in the household or in mainstream cinemas, etc., can lead to the acceptance that domestic abuse is a part of normal life and it's not a big deal.
Substance abuse. People who abuse drugs or alcohol at an excessive rate often lose awareness of their actions and turn abusive, especially to their spouse and children.
Domestic violence is an all-time high in the lockdown period.
Most of us consider our home as safe spaces. There are tons of others who dread at the thought of going home. The UN has described the worldwide increase in domestic abuse as a shadow pandemic alongside COVID-19. And while the lockdown is imposed on people due to COVID-19 crisis, they are locked with their abusers in their home as a victim of domestic abuse. They are not able to go outside or meet their friends as an escape, and they are facing more extreme violence as they are locked down with their abusers.
Who are the victims? While when two are victims of domestic abuse, most vulnerable are women and children. Domestic violence is an onslaught of people on others. So is the real question really about who are the victims? It can be you, it can be me. When we talk about abuse, often the focus is on the victims. But do you think that's how we should project and discuss issues as serious as abuse? Maybe if we start talking about how X is a domestic abuse accused instead of how Y is a victim of abuse, our projections could be more about correcting the problem. Channelizing the narrative in a way that cuts its slack for the victims and questions abusers should soon be adopted as the new normal, and it will help us find the real reasons behind the issue of domestic violence.
The abused aren't people from far away lands. They are your friends, your mother, your father, your brother, or your neighbor. The trauma, the distress that these people go through is immense. It just shatters a person completely. Some of them start losing to the point of life itself. Apart from a lot of physical bruises and pain, there is immense deterioration in the mental health as well. PTSD, depression, anxiety, sleep disorders, low self-esteem, suicidal thoughts are just some of the things that the victim goes through during and after the disturbing period. Children who are victims of domestic violence face problems in school. They also become easy targets for bullying. At some point, the victims start blaming themselves for everything that's wrong.
Thus, generating awareness is an important part of the battle because it helps more and more people recognize and respond to the danger signs that often accompany domestic violence. Social media has become a beacon of hope and outlet for domestic violence advocates to speak up and break their silence. Some of the social media campaigns are Black and White Photo Challenge, hashtag Lockdown Not Lockup, hashtag Why I Stayed, hashtag Why I Left, hashtag Blow the Whistle.
How can you and I help? Ring the bell. If you are the neighbor of a family experiencing domestic violence, please take the time to ring their bell and check if they are alright.
Make the call. If the situation goes beyond simple neighborly intervention, then call the police or your local emergency services immediately.
Be a resource.
Help them find the assistance they need, whether it is legal information or local domestic programs or finding a safe place.
Document. Document any incident that you witness. Make notes of dates, time, injuries, or any other incidents which will help to bolster the victim's courage and credibility when they finally pursue legal action against their partner.
Check in regularly. If you fear your friend, co-worker, classmate, or family member's life, call or text them once a day at a random time to see if they are alright.
Change isn't possible until we invest in the growth of an individual, unlearn the curses of patriarchy, and educate the masses about consent in the relationship. Educate the girls and boys alike. Raise them with the same values, the same morals. Charity begins at home, and parents are always the first teachers. The big question is how we as a society have failed. How are we more comfortable with violence than with love? How do people holding hands in public make us uncomfortable? And yet domestic violence has become so normalized that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men go through domestic violence in their lifetime. And these are only the reported ones. Thousands go unreported.
We have a request, a small one. Please try not to involve your children in your fights. For those innocent souls, they will have to live a life full with scars. Scars that you people have given them. Please try to be kind. And we understand this video has been uncomfortable for many, but during these lockdown periods, domestic violence is at all-time high. And we cannot but mention that there is another pandemic going on. Domestic violence is a shadow pandemic, and it is high time we shed light on it. Break the silence against domestic violence.
If you are a victim of abuse, it might be difficult, but it is important for you to seek help. If you are a witness to abuse, it is necessary for you to report it. Reach out to the National Commission for Women's Emergency WhatsApp helpline 721-773-5372 if you or anyone around you is facing abuse. Other helpline numbers are 181 and 100. Reach out to the Men Helpline number 8882498498 if you are a victim of domestic abuse. The helpline number is run by 40 NGOs across states.